I like where the camera's at now. Howdy there, everyone. I'm here to talk today about about this terrible lighting. Okay, so no leaning forward. I'm here today to talk about problems and the difference between a positive or negative outlook on the problems in life. First, I'd like to present an idea on kind of what life is. Okay, this is my theory of everything, if you will. Let's imagine life as a teacher or an instructor. And let's imagine every issue in life as a problem on a test or its own separate test for you to pass, to be able to pass the class of life, if you will. Okay, imagine this with me. So life is an instructor or a teacher. Every issue that comes to you or every problem is a test for you. And if you get enough of the questions right on that test, you get a passing grade and you don't have to take it again because you've learned that, you know that, and you're growing in your knowledge of life. Okay, so if you got problems on repeat, so this is a big one for a lot of people, relationship problems. If you got a lot of relationship problems and they're on a constant repeat, like that you keep being ditched or you keep ditching people, whatever the case is for you, let's say it's a relationship issue and you're having issues with it and it's consistent. There's something you're not learning in that situation. There's something you're neglecting, you're overlooking, you're not learning. So life keeps throwing this at you saying, hey, you need to learn this lesson. And when you learn it, and when you learn how to deal with it positively or negatively, but you deal with it, it no longer comes at you. Now, the reason you can deal with it positively or negatively is if you deal with it negatively, let's say it's a relationship issue and you just cut off all relationships, then you no longer have any, but you technically dealt with the issue. But you're not growing. The difference between dealing with it positively and negatively is if you deal with it positively, you actually grow in your knowledge on how to deal with things like this and end up expanding and becoming an all-in-all better person. And that problem, when it tries to come at you again, because it won't be a problem. It will not be a problem for you. You'll ace it because you know how to deal with it. Okay? So life may seem like a cruel instructor and teacher because it hands you some of the worst issues ever. Like, for instance, something everybody struggles with, okay? Or some things everybody struggles with, at least that I'm aware of. Relationships or friendships. I'm going to bunch those together in one. Learning how to communicate and be good with others. They struggle at some level at some time in their life with that. Some people figure it out, others don't. Okay. 2, addictions. We all have our own addictions. Whether that be to something as simple as a phone or TV or something as serious and as bad as like an alcohol addiction, a drug addiction, or something like that. Okay, we all struggle with addictions. Okay, so we got addictions and then we got friendships, relationships. I had a couple others in there. Oh, pride. Okay, we all struggle with some form of pride. This is a huge one, especially for people, because if you're getting offended, I guarantee you it has nothing to do with the other person and everything to do with your pride. Okay, I can almost 100% guarantee that. These are some of the main huge things, but pride is one of the biggest ones. Okay, and sometimes it's not like, let me think of a good scenario. Let's say it comes down to you and a friend are going to go somewhere, and one of you's got to drive. Okay, and your friend's like, oh, I'm gonna drive. And you're like, no, I don't want to drive. And you guys get into a bit of a tiff, but you let it fly, but you're kind of slightly offended. Like, you don't let them know about it because you're like, whatever, they can drive. That has to do with your pride. If you can get over yourself and be like, yeah, sure, they want to drive, let them drive. Go for it. There's no pride issue there. So it can be very small or it can be very big, but it comes on so many different levels and so many different fashions that it can be hard to recognize if you do not know yourself. Get to know yourself, get to know why you think that way, what's making you feel that way. It's likely something to do with pride. Okay, and the fourth one. I'm going to wrap this one up. This is actually a lot. This wraps up a lot of issues. But your human nature, it is naturally drawn to what's not good for you. You ever wonder why sugar is so addicting? Because your body's like, oh, I want some more of that. It's not good for you. Your human nature, your free will has a tendency to gravitate towards the negative. That's why the great people that are great at being positive are so well known. That's why they're the ones with the stories, because they've overcome that human nature. They're not letting the nature of their human being dominate who they are. That's why they're such a legend, because people are like, how are they so amazing? How do they stay so positive? How do they do this awesome stuff? It's because they have overcome their human nature to some level. They may have not aced it or perfected it, but they've done it to some level, to some degree, that has helped them to become just a next level type of person because of that performance, okay? Overcoming that human nature. So if there's something you want, but inside your conscience is telling you, probably shouldn't do that, listen to that. Your conscience is your mental guide. It's kind of like a little cheat sheet for the life test. That's your conscience, okay? But the more you ignore it, the less you're going to be able to hear it. So keep that in mind. It is essential to have a pretty sensitive conscience there. So keep that in mind whenever you're trying to ignore it. Be like, every time you ignore it, you're throwing a punch, a bullet, an arrow, a spear. You're throwing something evil into your conscience, making it go in a corner and shut up, so that you won't have to hear it next time you do whatever the heck it is you're doing, because you don't want to feel that guilt, okay? The conscience is a natural guide to help you do the right thing. But your free will in the end is what's going to decide whether you're going to do the right thing or not. So, to wrap it all up, we got those 4 issues that tend to dominate your problems, okay? Which, if looked at and dealt with carefully, you can ace every problem, okay? And then 2, if problems are on repeats, like if you're having a repetition of whatever type of problem, it is probably because you haven't learned the lesson. So you need to look at the problem. You need to be like, all right, this keeps happening, so obviously I'm not dealing with it right. What could I do different so that this doesn't come at me again? Because if you're waiting for everything around you to change, you're just going to die and end up in the grave 6 feet deep. Ciao. If you want things to change, you've got to change. Okay? A tree does not wait for the world to go around 100 times or do whatever to grow. No, it does its business. It gets its stuff done. Now, it does take in a lot of water and a lot of sunshine, so it takes in from its environment to be able to grow, to be able to change. You need to do the same thing. You need to take the knowledge from around you. You need to feed yourself, grab everything you can from where you're at to reach another level to see or be whatever it is you would like. So keep that in mind. If you're waiting for things around you to change, if you get real lucky, it might happen, but they don't usually change for the better. Okay, just keep that in mind. If you want things to change for the better, you have to change. Okay, human beings are invented for change. If you do not change, you're probably suffering things like depression, anxiety, and all the other labeled problems you can have because you're sitting and you're doing the same thing over and over without change. And the only change that you do have is very little, if at all. Like, hey, I got a new girlfriend, or I got a new boyfriend, or, you know, I moved down the street to a new house. It's the same dang thing. It's a different face or a different place. Okay, that's not change. Okay, that's an adjustment. That's different. Okay, change happens on a deeper level. It happens in character. It happens in thinking. It happens in principles and in morals. So, this wasn't meant to be about change, but there's just a quick thought on that. Thank you for your time. Let me know what you think on this in the comments down below. And that is it for today. Thank you for making it all the way through this video if you did, and putting up with this terrible lighting. Pierce out.